Action!
Lights, camera, anxiety.
Hello, and welcome back to G&T Sips and Giggles, the lock-in. This is our Patreon exclusive. This is the show where I rant and rave about some of life's most annoying nonsenses.
Yep, we're opening up our petty pantry of modern woes to talk about something that's been quietly nibbling away at our wallets. Shrinkflation. That sneaky little devil where your favourite snacks and bits keep getting smaller.
Yeah.
But the price tag stays stubbornly the same.
Ridiculous. So pop the kettle on, grab your now tiny bag of crisps, and let's get into it. It is shrinkflation. Is it a smart business move or a consumer con that deserves to be protested outside government buildings? What say you?
Say yes.
It's going to start a revolution here.
Yes.
So look, let's start with what shrinkflation is, because not everybody will actually understand the term.
Right. Shrinkflation is when the size or quantity of a product is reduced, but the price remains the same or even increases.
That is ridiculous.
It's often done subtly. Smaller chocolate bars, less toilet paper on the roll, and consumers may not notice at first. Like back in the day when you got a tin of Quality Street, they were massive and it was deep. And now they're like this.
Yeah.
The term was popularised by British economist Pippa Malmgren and is now monitored by ONS UK's Office for National Statistics.
Yeah, so real life examples, you mentioned Quality Street. That is one that I've complained about before on here. I'm almost sure of it. I think I complained about it at Christmas. But the one that really stood out, first of all, for me when I noticed this term was Toblerone. So do you remember in 2016, Toblerone changed its shape from having consecutive ridges to having a ridge, a flat bit, a ridge, a flat bit, a ridge, a flat bit, and so it went on. And what they done was they actually increased the gaps between the peaks, which ultimately led to a public outrage. I even remember that the BBC went to the point of actually reporting the complaints, saying it kind of looked like a bike rack.
It was awful. It was really awful. And Yorkies.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember the slogan they used to have in the past?
It's not for girls.
It's not for girls.
Can't say that. It's no longer PC in 2024.
a Yorkie would have broke your jaw back in the day. See, now you could eat it in one go.
Yeah.
Honest to God. You look at Walker's Crisps. They've reduced their pack size from 34.5 grams to 32.5 grams. But the price stays the same. Or in certain cases, it's increased.
Yeah, you see, this is bonkers. I've noticed as well, things like toilet rolls. So like toilet rolls, Andrex used to be like big. I remember the programs and they used to be like big toilet rolls. And they used to have like 240 sheets per roll. And now they've only got 190.
And I remember their slogan used to be on, you remember they had the wee puppy?
Yes.
The little Labrador puppy. Soft, strong, and very, very long.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
not
I'm
anymore.
Sure no, definitely not. But the same thing. Reduce the amount of sheets per roll, but maintain the price.
Yes, it's absolutely ridiculous. Companies rely on consistent packaging and brand trust, and you rarely notice unless you compare the old with the new packs.
Which you don't, because what they tend to do is they let it run out of stock, and then they bring in the new stuff, and you're never going to tell the difference. You're never going to see the comparison on the shelf.
Yeah, because they're not there; they're gone.
Yeah,
but
here,
gone.
Why do they do it? Why? What is the motivation?
I think honestly to rising costs for ingredients, energy, transport, and wages might have made production more expensive.
Okay. You know? I mean, I get the idea. So, like, instead of increasing the price and potentially losing customers, they shrink the product while keeping it visually the same.
Yeah. So they're not using as much product. They're not using that many ingredients, you know, and they're getting more for what they're paying for, as in the company.
Yeah,
this
is it, and it kind of cracks me up because organizations like this are advertising like billions of pounds in profit and revenue, but yet they're saying, oh, rising costs and energy and transportation and wages and all this kind of nonsense. But rather than just absorb those increases, they just decide to make things smaller, and
Exactly.
it's mind bending. You know, I read an article with The Guardian, and it basically had said that companies are now relying on customer loyalty because people are less likely to check weights than the actual price.
Oh,
And that's something
really?
it's not something that I would do. And the only
Oh,
thing
that's
is,
made me sit back and think.
I noticed. Do you know Oral-B toothpaste?
Yes.
For the benefit of the listeners, Tina was sitting back and thinking. Oral-B toothpaste used to be 100 ml, and it's now 75 ml. They've literally cut it by 25%, but it's the same cost.
Oh,
Isn't that crazy?
God. Listen, love, if my mascara got any smaller, I'm going to need a magnifying glass. And that is the gospel truth, honest to Almighty God. Let me ask you this. Do you think in ethical terms, do you think it's misleading?
I feel
like an ethical dilemma?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I feel the practice is very much deceptive.
Right.
I think that if you're reducing the quantity of something and not clearly communicating it, then I think that is morally and ethically wrong, especially because they're profiting from it.
Yeah, that's so true. Do you know that the Office for National Statistics reported over 2,500 UK products have shrunk in the last 5 years?
I'm not surprised.
2,500 UK products have shrunk in the last 5 years. We're being ripped off.
I agree. We're
being ripped off, and some brands are starting to use labels like new size, new price, just to stay transparent.
But that's bonkers. I recently bought a thing of milk chocolate digestives, and to my horror, Lexi, there was only 10 biscuits in there. There used to be 12. This is nuts.
Someone stole 2 of your cookies.
Someone stole 2 of my biscuits. I was not impressed. But even things like tins of, like, do you notice now they've went from 24 tins of Diet Coke, whatever it is, to 18.
18.
They've took six tins out of it.
Yes.
And they're still charging the same price.
I mean, it's everything is just getting less and less. You know what I mean? And I think this is obviously it's companies having to survive.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I don't think all of the companies are jumping on the bandwagon, but very successful, large, multi-million-dollar successful companies are doing it.
Yeah.
Anyway, and they don't need to. They don't need to, but because these smaller companies are striving and struggling, and they have to reduce the cost of their ingredients, they have to reduce the cost. They have to find another way to stay alive.
You know, there's an actual
to
term
stay in business.
There's an actual term for that when they start to reduce things like the quality of a product, for example.
No.
Or if, for example, you go to a hotel and you've noticed that breakfasts being sort of like the breakfast portions are being reduced, or even the plates are being made smaller, or even things like airline perks, you know, like air miles. Or I remember on BA flights you used to get an in-flight breakfast. Now you get a bottle of water and a bag of nuts. It's known as skimpflation. That's the term.
I like that word, skimpflation. I see.
Yeah. Another thing that tends to happen as well is this kind of idea of greenwashing or wellness disguises. And this is kind of like packages are now being sold with like a green banner on them that says eco-friendly or healthier, when in fact it's just shrinkflation into size, you know?
Yeah, or this bar's only got 99 calories because the portion just got really bleeping small.
Yeah.
And it's not because it's reformulated, it just went from that size to
that. That's it. So they literally took the calories out of it,
It used to have 3,999 calories. That size, and it was like for £2. Now it's £2. It's that size.
Yeah.
You do this with it.
Listen. I think this practice is sneaky.
Me too.
It's shady, and it's just another way where we're being shortchanged without consent.
Well, you know what? Maybe it's better than prices going up even more. You know, a little nibble off the top instead of a full wallet punch. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, look, listen. I'm going to invite all our listeners and all our followers and all our watchers to a weigh-in. Here we go. Here's what I'm proposing. Should we be campaigning about the ridiculousness of shrinkflation? Let us know. And you can DM us at G&T pod. That's all one word, at G&T pod. We would love to hear from you. I would love to hear from you because it's actually extremely important, because we can't keep on being fooled and they're now taking it for granted. And I kind of have to side with the small businesses. They need to survive. Those smaller factories, those smaller outlets, they're having to do this. They're being forced, their hands being forced by the multi-million-pound greedy sons of a, and they're doing it too just because,
Yeah. Well, nearly the end of an episode, Lexi. It's the end of another episode. Thank you so much for listening to us.
Do you know what that was, Glenn? That was a bite-sized discussion on shrinkflation, literally.
Well, as you said, we'll let the listeners decide whether it's worthy of a protest. But until next time, keep sipping, keep giggling, and keep your eyes on the fine print. Lexi,
absolutely.
Chin chin.
Chin chin.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of G&T Sips and Giggles. If you've enjoyed our conversation, then don't forget to share it with your friends, and why not subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Your reviews mean the world to us and really help others find the show, so please take a moment to leave one, but be kind. If you'd like to support the podcast, why not consider joining us on Patreon? For the cost of a drink a month, you can listen to episodes early, access exclusive digital content, and get discounts to upcoming G&T shows. Your support helps us keep the conversation flowing. Cheers! We'll see you next time. Chin chin!